Hi everyone, Claudia here from Lighting Clarity. So, today we are in the energy of still the lion's domain. The gateway has opened and is open. And no doubt a lot of you have already put your wishes in. If you haven't, you've still got time, though we are the 9th of August. That gate is still open. Don't think it has closed. So today's session, today's reading is about what it is Archangel Michael, Goddess Brigid, and King Solomon would like you to know about your gateway wishes. So without further ado, I'd like you to pick who has that message for you regarding the wishes that you have made, the intentions that you have made. Archangel Michael, Goddess Brigid, or King Solomon. Without further ado, I'm going to bring Michael straight in. Just bear with me. Thank you. So Michael says he comes in to back the wishes that you have, the intentions that you have. He places the energy of strength at the backs of your auras, strengthening your spines. Your spines are they actually say a lot to do with your health, energetically, to do with your thoughts, your feelings. There is a lot that runs up and down the spine, energetically, clairvoyantly seen. And he talks about strengthening that spine energetically for you, strengthening the backs of your auras to do with your intentions. He's also saying he's also helping to clear out a lot of what it is that you don't need. He says some of those intentions that you are making or have made, he says some of those wishes are going to change for you because you are going to change your mind. You're going to change your energy. You're going to decide you're not going down this way. You want to go down this way instead. He says that's also what the Lion's Gateway is about. It's about throwing out what doesn't serve you, coming down to what does serve you, what it is that is there for you, what it is that is in your highest good. He says, and this is something that you'll begin to work out over the next 6 months. He says the overall light that comes through this in terms of your intentions, your wishes that you have asked for, he says they will come through. The overall will come through. The overall aura of what you have asked will come through. He said some of it will not come through in the way that you hoped or thought. It will come through a different avenue, but nonetheless, it will appear. He says you will have some options to do with one particular intention or wish that you have, whether you will go with it or whether you will not go with it, whether you will do it, whether you will not do it, whether something else you decide will present itself that is even better. But he says it is important that you have your intentions in front of you. It is important that you make your intentions known to the Creator during this time, deciding clearly within yourself for what it is that you do want and moving towards it, going after it, being bold about it. He says some of you have deprived yourself of what it is that you've wanted. Some of you have even just deprived yourself generally in life of good things. He says you're not aware of it. You've just gone through the motions. He says some of it comes from family lineage, family lines, where you were taught to be tight with your money, where you were taught to go without, where you were taught to give more than you should have. He says you cannot give what you do not have. You cannot give what you can't give. He says do not give energy you do not have to others. He says it is really important that you build yourself up, and once you've done that, then you can give to others, he says. Some of you are feeling quite weak energetically. It's like energy is being seeped out, and some of you are having people take your energy from you. He says, be aware of what is seeping out. Be aware of who is a drain to you, and put down your boundary lines. He says, this doesn't help with manifesting. He says, continue staying on your paths. Continue staying true to your course. He says you will find some important gemstones along the way. As you walk along your roads, you will find them. They are there waiting for you. He said, give thanks for what you have. Give thanks to God. Remember your gratitude for what you have. Thank God for this, he says. Bringing in the energy of gratitude into all that you have, into what you notice that comes in small in your life. He says, be thankful for it. Remember, God is giving to you as well as you giving out. He says, really accept what God gives you. Accept it. Say thank you and take the opportunity that comes. Don't give it away to someone else, is what he says. Okay, I've had to open my eyes because he's wanted me to make that point. All right, there's not all of you in that boat, but it's an important point to make, he says. All right, I'm going to thank Michael for coming in. As we move into and onto the goddess Brigid, for those of you who have picked the goddess Brigid, let's bring her through. So the goddess Brigid talks about the cycles of life. She says, looking also at, she talks about the moon. I don't talk about these things, but she talks about the moon cycles. Looking at when it is the right time, she says, to harvest, to plant, to grow. She says, just like you do when you're planting your vegetables in the different seasons upon the earth, she says, I want you to look at as well astrologically. She says, when it is a good time for your intentions. She says, a lot of you are very much affected by the cycles of the moon. And your emotions go up and they go down. They go up and they go down. She says it is important that you stay grounded within yourselves, placing your feet firmly down on your earth star chakras, which are 2 feet below your feet. Making sure you ground your intentions within the earth star chakra, she said, within you. She talks about the lower chakras with this. Placing the intentions you have in your sacral. And the sacral is the center for relationships, the center for your sexuality, your creativity. Excuse me. She also says planting it into your root chakra, where that is your foundation for feeling safe. You cannot manifest from a state of anxiety, she says. It is important that you are grounded in what it is that you want and that you're grounded in your body. Some of you are out of your body. She said, stay centered, stay grounded. She said, that's going to keep your eyes on what it is that you want. She says, you will find very slowly your intentions will start to come in. Certain ones will start to come in. You'll see them grow, but they will come in when you least expect it, she says. You will start to see growth in them when you least expect it. And you'll go, there it is. It's coming up on the horizon now. Oh, is that it? Oh, good. I think it is. She says, keep your eyes for what it is that you're wanting. She says, sometimes you give up too easily. You're almost at the gate when you decide to turn back. She says, don't do that anymore. Keep walking towards what you want. So she shows me your guardian angels coming to assist you right now with the wishes and the goals and the intentions that you have. And she says these are being brought up to the divine creator by your guardian angels in asking for the extra assistance that's needed in each of your lives. She says it's not just about your wishes. It is about bringing in those extra resources that you're needing to get you to move through the life themes that you're finding challenging at the moment, the life themes that you've sat in for too long at the moment, the life themes that have just been stagnant for too long, that have just been there and they're not moving. We need to get you moving. She says your wheels of manifestation have been a little bit clogged of late, so they've been trying to spin them. So she just shows me that your guardian angels are working with you, and they're also saying ask God for what you want. Ask for that intention. Ask for the highest good be brought in for yourself and others around you. Trust and ask that those situations will resolve themselves. And she said, remember to ask for grounded intentions, grounded wishes. Even small ones to start with, leading into those bigger ones that you have, definitely having those there. And creating the plans that need to be planted towards those goals, towards what it is that you want. She says, don't be afraid to go down a different avenue to get there if need be. So she also shows me it's like what's being showered away from under your feet is all the muck. It's like there's been muck on your path ahead of you and under your feet. It's all being cleared away at the moment. She says the Lion's Gateway also gives that moment as well of clarity, of clearness, of removing what needs to go. Ask for it to be gone. She says, ask for this now to be cleared. All the nonsense that needs to go. So you're able to manifest clearly. Because God's happy to hand you what it is that's in your highest good. It won't be every single thing, she says, but what is that is in your highest good? But if you're not accepting of it, if you're not open to it, it doesn't come in. Yeah? Do not deprive yourselves. Funny. Similar reading to Archangel Michael's in that regard, using that other word again. Okay. All right. I'm going to thank Brigid for coming in. As we move on to King Solomon group. Okay, just be with me while I bring Solomon in into each of your auras. He's coming in as a mentor as he stands to the side of you. It's like he's talking in your auras, not like he is. He's talking to you in your auras at the moment. He's actually encouraging you forwards into what is that you want. Some of you have sat back for a little too long. And he says, plant those intentions and those wishes. He says, do it without a sense of expectation. He says, give what it is that you're wanting to the universe, to the divine creator. Whatever words you use for God, he says, give that to God. Request what it is that you want and ask that your highest good come about with this. He says, even if there's something you're confused about whether you want it or not, he says, give that to the divine as well. Asking for clarity around this. Asking for things to be made easier, asking for your abilities to manifest to be made to be more in the flow, to be able to manifest with more ease, with more grace as well. So Solomon says there's been something some of you have sat on for a long time, a particular plan of some sort. It's quite a large one for some of you. He says there's still more work to be done, but he says the universe is going to come in and give you a break regarding this plan. Some sort of break is coming in. Some sort of help is coming in when we use that word. Some sort of new resource where you go, I'm going to follow that lead. Right, I'm diving into that. Solomon says, don't be afraid to take a risk, to go out on a limb. To do with something, to do with some of these goals that you have, these intentions, particularly this big one. He says, don't be afraid to go out on a limb. He says it's when you all choose to come from a different alternative route. Some of you are asking, he says, and then some people are folding their arms, then sitting back. He says, that's not what this is about. He says, it's asking, following your intuition, following the different leads that come in, following the different resources and seeing where they take you. He says, God loves you very much. He says, God does want everybody to be happy, for you to be happy as well. He says, we have seen you suffer at different points in your lives, question things, question people. He says, if something hasn't felt right, if you've smelled a rat around someone, it is because it is. He says, trust your intuitions here. He says you have a massive wealth of knowledge and information. He says a lot of you are quite good at manifesting. He says that's not something you're aware of, but you actually are. He says you're able to manifest the small things. He says the bigger things will come as well as you learn to trust your abilities more and more, following your intuition. Ask and listen for the answers as well through your intuition. He says, just when you think it's the end, it won't be. That goal or those goals will come forward. Those that are meant for you will come forward. He says, just when you think you've come to the very end and that this is it, it's not going to happen, he says, that's when it happens. That's when it comes in. And it'll be particular goals that manifest. Even a fairly larger one that you've been waiting for. He says, just trust. He says, there is divine timing at work to do with some of those bigger goals. And it's like he says, look at it from this point of view. The universe is moving the stars and the moon and the wind and the rain and the people and the situations around in order to accommodate you. He says, It's not just about your own soul contract. It is about the soul contract of other people as well, in order to bring in some of those larger goals. Yeah. There is a lot that we don't think about behind the scenes when we ask for something. It's also going to be in the right timing for those other people, for those other organizations. And it just ripples back. Yeah. As I talk about everyone's soul contracts, as you can imagine. Because even those you work with, they have a soul contract to work with you. Whatever job you're in, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a receptionist. You work as a physio, whatever. You're the traffic controller. All those people you work with, all those people that come to you in customer service roles, they all have contracts with you. That's why they stood in your queue. Whether it's for 5 minutes, whether it's for 10, whether it's you consistently see them every time they come in to have an x-ray, for example, if you work in radiology. I'm just giving an example. Okay. I'm going to thank King Solomon for coming in. He leaves his love and his light. He says he's holding a light for you. He says, I want you to be encouraged. Be encouraged with what you've asked for. And that is what he says as he leaves. Beautiful. He's so lovely. He really, really is. He's really lovely. He's like a really lovely professor. That is how he comes in. All right. Well, beautiful. You'll have to let me know in the comments how you went. Yeah? Much love. Much love. All of these readings are meant to support you, and I hope today's readings did support each of you today. Warm blessings. Happy weekend. See you all again next week. Thanks, everyone.